working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching ASEAN in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Cambodia. Hello, Crystal Ann.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon. I'm Crystal Ann Ballesteros from your EBC Cambodia Bureau, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines. The Philippine government has ordered video streaming company Netflix to remove parts of the Australian drama series Pine Gap on its platform for violating Philippine sovereignty and featuring a map of the 9-dash line, an invisible demarcation used by China to refer to its claim in the South China Sea.
An American woman convicted with her boyfriend of killing her mother and stuffing the body in a suitcase at a luxury Bali hotel is fleeing from prison.
And no Filipino was among the casualties in the knife attack on a train in Japan on Sunday night. According to Mr. Robespierre Bolivar, the embassy's deputy chief of mission in Tokyo.
And the worldwide aid to humanity continues in Malaysia and Hong Kong.
First in our news, the Philippine government has ordered video streaming company Netflix to remove parts of the Australian drama series Pine Gap on its platform for violating Philippine sovereignty and featuring a map of the 9-dash line, an invisible demarcation used by China to refer to its claim in the South China Sea. Take a look. Now, Netflix has apparently removed episodes 2 and 3 of the series, saying the parts were removed by government demand. Rachel Arenas, who was chair of the Broadcasting Authority when the decision was handed down, told AFP that Netflix had been ordered to remove episodes 2, 3, and 4. Episode 4 was still available on Monday. The DFA said the board has ruled that certain episodes of Pine Gap are, quote, unfit for public exhibition. In its decision, the MTRCB noted that under a whole-of-nation approach, every instrumentality of the government, whenever presented with the opportunity, has the responsibility to counter China's aggressive actions in the West Philippine Sea to assert the Philippines' territorial integrity. It also stressed that the portrayal of the illegal 9-dash line in Pine Gap is no accident, as it was consciously designed and calculated to specifically convey a message that China's 9-dash line legitimately exists. Earlier this year, Vietnam also lodged a complaint over the same issue, prompting Netflix to pull the entire 6-episode drama in the country. Beijing has ignored a 2016 International Tribunal decision that declared its historical claim over most of the South China Sea, a key global shipping route, to be without basis.
Meanwhile, a 5.9 magnitude quake struck off the coast of Indonesia, Sumatra Island Monday. The United States Geological Survey said, but there was no tsunami warning or immediate reports of the damage. The offshore quake hit at a shallow depth of 6 kilometers or 3.7 miles, about 255 kilometers south of the town of Sinabang. Shallow quakes tend to do more damage than deep tremors. Indonesia experiences frequent quakes due to its position on the Pacific Ring of Fire, an arc of intense seismic activity where tectonic plates collide that stretches from Japan through Southeast Asia and across the Pacific Basin.
Meanwhile, the White House said U.S. President Joseph Biden and Indonesia President Joko Widodo called on Monday on the Myanmar military junta to release political prisoners. Now, meeting on the sidelines of the COP26 Climate Summit in Glasgow, Biden and Widodo also highlighted freedom of the seas in the Indo-Pacific region, according to the White House, using language that typically refers to criticism of China's increasingly muscular presence. According to the White House, they expressed concern about the coup in Burma and agree the Burmese military must cease violence, release all political prisoners, and provide for a swift return to democracy. President Biden expressed support for ASEAN's position on Myanmar, which last month boycotted a summit of the Southeast Asian regional grouping after its chief was banned from the virtual event. Now, the White House also said Indonesia is next in line as president of the G20 group, and President Biden expressed support for its leadership in the Indo-Pacific as the world's third largest democracy and a strong proponent of the international rules-based order.
A controversial Singaporean rapper of Indian descent who has accused authorities of racism may face jail after being charged Monday for sowing divisions between the city-state's different ethnic and religious groups. Singapore's government has long sought to promote racial harmony among its diverse population of 5.5 million, but some still complain that the ethnic Chinese majority enjoy greater privileges. Outspoken rapper Subhas Nair faced 4 counts when he appeared in court Monday over offenses that allegedly occurred between 2019 and this year. According to charge sheets, the 29-year-old made comments on social media appearing to suggest a Chinese man involved in the death of an Indian received lenient treatment from authorities because of his race. He allegedly posted further remarks on Instagram suggesting Chinese non-Muslims are treated more leniently than Muslims over hate speech. And he was charged over a 2019 rap video that criticized a local Chinese actor who darkened his skin to portray an Indian in an advert. Nair faces up to 3 years in prison, a hefty fine, or both for each charge if convicted.
To other news now, an American woman convicted with her boyfriend of killing her mother and stuffing the body in a suitcase at a luxury Bali hotel is freed from prison. Take a look.
Heather, how are you? How are you? Terima kasih. Pakai tangannya. Pak, jalan aja dong, Pak. Jalan aja, Pak. Heather, you want to say something, Heather? Heather. No. Okay, yeah.
Meanwhile, a Cambodian court sentenced an autistic teenager to 8 months in prison on Monday, with part of the term suspended for sending telegram messages that were deemed insulting to the government, according to his mother. The son of an opposition figure, 16-year-old Kak Suvanchai, was arrested in late June after posting messages on a private telegram group and has been detained for more than 4 months. Phnom Penh Municipal Court on Monday sentenced him to 8 months in prison under incitement charges and for insulting public officials. Most of the remainder of his term, taking into account time served, has been suspended for 2 years. My son will be released on November 9, his mother, Prum Chanta, said. It is unjust for my son because he did not commit any crime like the court had charged. She added that she had not decided whether to appeal the guilty verdict. The municipal court spokesperson declined to comment on the case. The teenager's arrest and detention drew outcry from the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Cambodia, Vitit Montarborn. He urged the government in September to release the teenager, adding that children with disabilities should be treated in line with the best interest of the child. The boy's father, Kak Kumpeya, is a former member of the now dissolved opposition Cambodian National Rescue Party and has been in jail since June last year. Kak Kumpeya is among more than 150 opposition figures facing a closed-door trial for allegedly agitating for the toppling of the ruling party, which is led by Prime Minister Hun Sen. Herself, an activist, Prum Chanta, had said that her son was only defending himself and his relatives in Telegram messages after he was bullied by people who called him the son of a traitor.
Meanwhile, overseas tourists poured into Bangkok and the holiday island of Phuket on Monday as Thailand kickstarted its tourism industry after 18 months of lockdown. Here's Jomerl Baldo from our EBC Thailand Bureau. Hello, Jomerl. Please tell us more about it.
Yes, that is correct, Alma. Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi Airport and Phuket's International Terminal were the first on Monday morning to receive visitors, with mostly European tourists greeted by staff dressed in personal protective equipment to process their documents. Let's listen in.
The mask and all the paperwork, it was a big effort and a little struggle, but it feels good to travel again and be back to normal life.
On holidays, so we came from Germany, Frankfurt to Thailand to stay here for 3 months, and yeah, we are one of the first passengers to do the Bangkok sandbox, one night quarantine.
We stay for 6 months here in Thailand every year for winter time, because in Germany is it very cold. And we like Thailand, the weather, the people, the food, all.
Meanwhile, no Filipino was among the casualties in the knife attack on a train in Japan on Sunday night, according to Robespierre Bolivar, the embassy's deputy chief of mission from the Philippine embassy in Tokyo today. Reports said at least 17 persons were injured in the attack by a man dressed in a Batman's Joker costume at the Keio Line train in Tokyo, as people are gearing up for Halloween gatherings in the Japanese capital. Bolivar noted that the attack is still a developing story where authorities are checking the mental health condition of the suspect, who purportedly said he wanted to kill people and be given the death penalty. Police said they arrested a 24-year-old man for attempted murder over the Sunday evening attack, which caused 18 people to be hospitalized, as videos aired of officers surrounding a man in a purple suit with a bright green shirt and tie reminiscent of the Batman villain. The incident sparked panic and chaos in a country where violent crime is rare. and TV footage showed terrified passengers running through the train as smoke filled the carriage. A Tokyo police spokesman told AFP with a knife he was carrying, the man stabbed the right side of the chest of a male passenger in his 70s sitting in the train, but couldn't achieve his aim of murder. The elderly man is in critical condition after being stabbed, according to media reports. The attacker told police he admired the Joker. He said he had failed in jobs and friendship and wanted to die but couldn't die himself. Before Sunday's attack, the suspect walked around Tokyo's Shibuya district, a busy area full of young people in Halloween costumes, the Sankei reported. He said he had worn the outfit specially for the attack.
And we'll be back with more news right after this break. Stay tuned.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
All right, let's go back to Bangkok, where overseas tourists are pouring in to the city as tourism opens up. Hello, John Merle.
Yes, that is correct, Alma. Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport and Phuket's International Terminal were the first on Monday morning to receive visitors, with mostly European tourists greeted by staff dressed in personal protective equipment to process their documents. Let's listen in.
The mask and all the paperwork, it was a big effort and a little struggle, but it feels good to travel again and be back to normal life.
On holidays, so we came from Germany, Frankfurt to Thailand to stay here for 3 months. And yeah, we are one of the first passengers to do the Bangkok sandbox, one night quarantine.
We stay for 6 months here in Thailand every year for winter time, because in Germany is it very cold. And we like Thailand, the weather, the people, the food, all.
Passengers went through stringent COVID-19 screening process by the airport staff wearing the PPE suits, who also checked their travel documents and provided needed assistance. The government spokesman said that the Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, who is attending the COP26 meeting at Glasgow in the United Kingdom, was closely monitoring the first day of the reopening of the country. The Prime Minister asked everyone to be good hosts and strictly comply with health safety measures to ensure the revival of the economy and tourism. The coronavirus pandemic hammered the kingdom's tourism-reliant economy, which last year saw its worst performance since the 1997 Asian financial crisis, as arrivals dwindled more than 80%. Tourism accounts for nearly a fifth of the economy, and the impact of the pandemic has reverberated across various sectors, from restaurants to transportations. With the tourism reopening, authorities expect 10 to 15 million visitors to return next year, with revenues forecast to surpass $30 billion. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you very much, Jomerl, for that update. Keep safe.
You stay safe too. Reporting live from EBC Thailand Bureau, I am Jomerl Baldo, and we live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, Singapore has banned a book on censorship over offensive images, including controversial cartoons of the Muslim prophet Muhammad, according to authorities on Monday. The book, Red Lines, Political Cartoons, and the Struggle Against Censorship, is banned from distribution in Singapore, according to Infocom Media Development Authority, or IMDA. The regulator said it has been deemed objectionable because it contains reproductions of cartoons published by French satirical weekly Charlie Hebdo, which led to violence and protests overseas. Red Lines is by Cherian George, a Singaporean media professor now based in Hong Kong, and Sunny Liu, an award-winning Singaporean cartoonist. Published in August by MIT Press, it features interviews with censored cartoonists around the world and explores censorship in graphic form. Anyone convicted of importing, selling, distributing, making, or reproducing an objectionable publication faces a fine of up to 5,000 Singaporean dollars or $3,700 US, imprisonment of up to a year, or both.
In another news, authorities in Vietnam must immediately and unconditionally release a writer and activist who faces anti-state propaganda charges and possibly up to 12 years in jail, a group of independent UN human rights experts said on Friday. They said Pham Do An Trang is only the latest victim of the authorities' use of vaguely defined propaganda charges to persecute writers, journalists, and human rights defenders. Ms. Trang was arrested in Ho Chi Minh City in October last year and subsequently detained. Her trial is set to start on November 4th. The arrest and detention of an individual exercising their right to freedom of expression to report on human rights issues is an arbitrary deprivation of liberty under international human rights law, the UN experts said in a statement, adding that they are in contact with the Vietnamese authorities. The experts were appointed by the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva. They operate in their individual capacity and are neither UN staff nor are they paid by the organization.
In other news, the Octa Research Group here in the Philippines has backed the government proposal to downgrade the Alert Level 3 in the National Capital Region, or NCR. Octa Research Group member Guido David said the region is now under moderate risk in terms of COVID cases after registering a daily attack rate at 5.72%. Let's listen in.
Dito. Pero ang nakita natin ay tuwing nagkaka-surge, tumataas yung testing capacity natin. Pero pag pababa na yung trend ng cases, ay bumababa na rin yung testing natin in accordance with the lesser, fewer cases. So ibig sabihin, we are seeing an actual trend na bumababa talaga yung cases. Hindi lang dahil kumukonti yung testing. Kumukonting testing dahil kumukonting cases natin. Pero ang mahalaga dyan, dahil nakikita natin na 5% na lang yung positivity rate, it means na talagang bumababa na ang ang cases natin sa Metro Manila, at hindi lang sa Metro Manila, pati rin sa iba-ibang regions sa buong bansa. May LGUs na may positive 1-week growth rate, ibig sabihin tumaas siya ng konti. Yung week-to-week comparison. Pero yung reproduction number natin ay lahat less than 0.9. Pati sa Metro Manila, 0.53. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Ang ginagamit naming basihan for a trend kung pataas or pababa ay yung reproduction number. And kung 0.9 or less ang reproduction number, in fact, karamihan ng mga LGUs nasa 0.5 to 0.6. So ibig sabihin niya, lahat ng LGUs ay pababa yung overall trend niya sa bilang ng kaso. Nangunguna sila siguro sa pinakamataas na bilang ng kaso sa buong Pilipinas kasi malalaki yung mga LGUs natin sa Metro Manila. Pero pag titingnan natin yung ADAR or daily attack rate, ay napakababa na. Karamihan ng mga LGUs natin below 7 na yung ADAR. In fact, ang pinakamababa sa Navotas, nasa 1.48 na lang yung daily attack rate. So ibig sabihin, mababa na talaga yung risk assessment natin. And based sa metrics na ginagamit namin, based on COVID Act now, ay nasa low risk ang Metro Manila, at ang actually all 17 LGUs based sa aming pag-aaral ay nasa low risk. So anong ibig sabihin yan? Yung alert level 2, syempre yung alert level system, ang basis niyan, ang ginagamit natin yung metrics ng Department of Health and ng IATF. So sila yung mag-recommend kung mabababa sa alert level 2. Pero based sa aming pagbasa ng datos, ay it's actually safe to reopen our businesses at this time.
Still in the Philippines, as domestic growth is expected to remain in positive territory for the third quarter at 6.5% amid the diminishing low base effects and the impact of lockdowns, an economist said. GDP or gross domestic product growth for third quarter this year could quantitatively ease year on year but still positive at higher single-digit levels, largely due to fading low base denominator effects. Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation or RCBC Chief Economist Michael Ricafort said in a reply to questions from the Philippine News Agency. GDP in the first half of the year stood at 3.96%. This after the economy grew to positive territory in the second quarter of the year, the first after 5 consecutive negative prints since the first quarter of last year or quarter of 2020 from negative 3.9% in the previous quarter. Taking into consideration Ricafort's third quarter forecast, average growth as of end September would be around 4.8%, within the government's 4% to 5% target for this year. The Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA is scheduled to report the third quarter GDP on November 9.
In Phnom Penh, the administration relaunched its public transport and ferry services. The relaunching of the public bus and ferry services came one day after Prime Minister Hun Sen instructed the authorities to relaunch them on November 1st. Mr. Hun Sen instructed officials to relaunch the public transport system while speaking at the launching of the vaccination campaign for the 5-year-olds at the Peace Palace. Based on an excerpt from a letter released by the officials, the authorities will launch a test run of public transport and water taxi services from November 2 onwards. And this comes after more than a year of inactivity due to the pandemic. The bus and ferry services were suspended on March 26 of last year.
Meanwhile, Vietnam will take stronger measures to achieve net zero emissions by 2015. Affirmed Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh at the COP16 or COP16. Addressing the COP16 on Monday, Pham said climate change has caused serious impacts on food security, water security, sustainable development, and even threatened the survival of many countries and communities, thus requiring the international community to act faster and bolder. He underscored that responding to climate change and restoring the nature must be the top priority of all development policies, as well as the highest moral standard of all levels, sectors, businesses, and individuals. Pham underlined the importance of science, financial resources, and nature-based and people-centric actions to foster growth model transformation towards green growth. He called on all countries to set strong commitments to reduce greenhouse gas emissions on the basis of common but differentiated responsibility.
Back here in the country, the Philippine National Police or PNP on Monday directed all units to enhance visibility and patrol activities to prevent a spike in street crimes during the holiday season. I am directing all police units nationwide to sustain enhanced visibility and anti-crime patrols in areas where street criminals are known to frequently strike. That according to PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar in a statement. This came after 2 suspects were nabbed in Manila on Sunday for allegedly snatching a bag of a woman who was walking along Magsaysay Boulevard and Lacson Avenue in Barangay 420. The victim, who appears to be a Sangguniang Kabataan chairperson in Infanta, Quezon, was hurt in the incident when she was dragged along by the motorcycle riding suspects as they grabbed her bag last October 28. Police officers deployed at the Manila North Cemetery nabbed the motorcycle riding suspects after noticing they are not wearing helmets and their motorcycle do not have a license plate. Eleazar also reminded the public to exercise caution and always be aware of their surroundings to avoid becoming a victim of petty crimes.
In Brunei, as new coronavirus infections have stabilized to about 100 a day, the health minister said after Brunei logged 116 more cases on Monday. During a press briefing, Datu Seri Setiao, Dr. Mod Isham Haj Jafar, said that COVID-19 infection rate appeared to be stable a day after the country reported its lowest daily case count since September 10. Monday's tally of new infections meant that it is the 6th day in a row that the number of daily cases remained below 200. Brunei averaged 183 new infections a day last week. The first time in 3 weeks, the 7-day average fell below 200 cases. 6 new clusters were detected in the past 24 hours. 4 family clusters and workers' dormitories of Temasek Construction Project and Astal Engineering. The Health Ministry also confirmed that another coronavirus patient had died overnight, but the 86-year-old victim was not categorized as a COVID-linked death. Brunei's COVID death toll stands at 54, while the cumulative confirmed infections hit 13,246.
In other news, MPAC 2025 has made significant progress since its adoption by ASEAN leaders in 2016. Watch this video and find out more on the progress and how MPAC 2025 supports the post-pandemic recovery and promotes resilience in the ASEAN region. Take a look.
When we talk about connectivity, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Is it about digitalization, smart cities, free flow of goods and services, or is it the ease of travel in the region? It goes beyond that. In 2016, ASEAN leaders adopted the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity, or MPAC 2025, that aims to create a stronger network of infrastructure, governments, businesses, and peoples that will improve the way we live, work, and travel across the region. MPAC 2025 has benefited the peoples of ASEAN for improvement of physical, institutional, and people-to-people linkages. Now, let's take a look at how ASEAN helps the progress of ASEAN connectivity. Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 focuses on 5 strategic areas with 15 initiatives, in which significant progress has been made. In 2018, in 2019, in 2020, and many more in 2021. While the COVID-19 pandemic brought significant challenges to the regional connectivity, MPAC 2025 highlights increasing relevance of connectivity due to the pandemic. MPAC 2025 supports post-pandemic recovery, creating benefits for the region, just like how it could promote sustainable infrastructure investment that can generate economic growth and create jobs, as well as strengthen supply chains to facilitate seamless flow of goods and services. MPAC 2025 promotes resilience in the region through actions under sustainable urbanization, digital connectivity, and human capital development to better manage future crises. For example, investing in digitalization will build more resilient and inclusive businesses in the post-pandemic region and share our future digital economy. MPAC 2025 holds significant potential for socio-economic impact in ASEAN. For example, up to $35.9 billion investment from ASEAN infrastructure pipeline. Digital trade to create over $100 billion of exports. And an additional 15.5 million annual visitor arrivals. ASEAN continues to implement and deliver MPAC 2025, and together we can seize the connectivity opportunities. For more information about the roles of MPAC 2025, go to connectivity.asean.org.
Stay tuned as more news are coming. Alma and I will be right back.
Dito nyo lang unang maririnig. Breaking news.
Talagang napag-isipan ninyo, wag na pong tumakbo.
Si Mayor Sara ay tatakbo, I will seriously consider.
Pati meron mas maganda pang mechanism para matulungan natin yung ating mga super. Ito yung Pantawid Pasada program.
Ano sa palagay ninyo? Suspindihin muna yung excise tax on fuel o kawalan naman ng 131.4 billion sa government revenues na pandemic response natin yan sa 2022.
Mga isyong siguradong tatatak sa inyong umaga.
So yan.
Better Stories.
Sabi nga mawalan ka na ng kuryente, huwag ka lang mawalan ng tubig.
Ako, I agree. Paano ka maglilinis? Paano ka maliligo? Doon talaga nag-uumpisa ang sakit.
Sige nga, pakwento nga dito sa talinong angkin nitong COVID-19 na to.
Una, walang utak yung COVID-19 na yan. Dapat mas mautak tayo.
Gaano karami po ba ang nadagdag sa ating populasyon na tulad ng inaasahan natin?
Ito ay mas mababa kaysa nung 2019.
Sila ang source ng pinag-uusapan ngayon. ASPN.
Bawal ang bata except for yung essential travel or for work, hindi ba?
Maaasahan ho ba na ating mga healthcare workers na bago po magtapos ang taon, yung kanilang mga benepisyo po ay maibibigay na po sa kanila?
Yung ibang mga opisyal, naroon pa rin sila at nakaupo pa rin sa PhilHealth. Have they been administratively charged?
May mga kaso na ito.
Sa DICT, all the LGUs, as long as nagpabakuna ka, binibigay nila yung record na yon sa DICT.
Ano sa palagay nyo? Kasama sina Ali Soto at Pat Pidaza.
Ibig sabihin po, ang pamahalaan ay hindi maaring makialam.
Then gusto mo parang may emergency intervention. Ang gobyerno pwede humimasok. Talaga bang totoo, isasarado muna ang Dolomite Beach?
Yes, sarado na po siya until November 3. We're trying to look at it kung paano naman namin kakasuhan din pabalik itong kusyana na ito.
Salamat po sa inyo, sa inyong suporta sa PNP at para sa ating mga kapulisan.
Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Simulcast sa Net25.
Kasi pag kumuhay ka ng ganyan, kumakalembang yung mga dito mo.
DZEC 1062 Mega Manila. Eagle FM 95.5. Facebook at YouTube.
Videong witty. Saan po kayo natutulog? Sa labas o sa egg tray?
Over there.
Mga videong funny.
Sobrang sakit nun. Flashback ang buhay mo.
Bakit yung Bombay amoy sibuyas? Kontrolado ko mga amoy Bombay na amoy sibuyas sila. Sabi ko, Indian kami, hindi kami Bombay. Bombay, lugar.
Hindi na ako hulat. Pinagsama-sama dito sa Funniest Snackable Videos. 4:30 p.m. Dito lang sa Net 25.
Welcome back to the program. And the Iglesia ni Cristo launched an aid to humanity in Hong Kong. Here's Kit Wong. Let's take a look.
The Church of Christ, Iglesia ni Cristo, once again held an aid to humanity here in Hong Kong.
Giving to those in need is continuously upheld by the members of the Church of Christ. Brethren in the District of Hong Kong conducts aid to humanity by giving goodie bags filled with essential commodities such as hand sanitizer, soap, and food packs. This event was held in all local congregations in Hong Kong Special Administrative Region through the supervision of ministers and church officers. Members enthusiastically invited their friends and loved ones to be their guests in the said event. They all diligently follows the safety protocols set by the government. The giving of aid does not only end by giving essential things. For the members of the Church of Christ, the most important thing to provide is to share the words of God from the Bible. An evangelical mission was conducted by the district supervising minister, Brother Ernel Chinide. For a decade, aid to humanity is being conducted in different parts of the world. An initiative promoting love and humanity led by the Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manano.
On behalf of the brethren here in the local congregation of Hong Kong East, we would like to thank our guests who have witnessed and also listened to the teachings of the Bible. That is the fundamental doctrines of the Church of Christ. And as our guests, we also gave them gifts because we are also commemorating and we are celebrating the birth anniversary or the birthday of our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. That is why our guests are happy to receive their gifts, and so are the brethren. And we are truly once again united with the whole church in celebrating and in commemorating the birthday of our executive minister. And we would also like to thank and continue to urge the brethren all over the world to continue to help sharing our faith in the Church of Christ.
Reaching out to those in need wherever your race, regardless of religion's affiliation. The Church of Christ continue to uphold the teaching of the Bible to open hand for help, especially those who were affected by calamities, disasters, and set by stress and worries like this time of pandemic.
Afternoon po, kami po bilang mga may tungkulin dito sa lokal ng Hong Kong East ay masayang-masaya po sa ginawang aktibidad sa araw na ito na Aid for Humanity. At masaya po dahil marami po kaming naging bisita at yung mga bisita namin ay naging masayang-masaya po sila. At bilang mga may tungkulin, nangangako po kami na patuloy na pangungunahan ang aming mga kapatid na nasasakupan na lalong magtalaga po sa sinasagawang aktibidad sa loob ng Iglesia ni Cristo na inaano po ng ating tagapamahalang pangkalahatan. Salamat po. Salamat po.
From Hong Kong, this is Kip Wong reporting for Eagle News, and we live in interesting times.
And as the world is enveloped by a global health pandemic, the Iglesia ni Cristo is non-stop in helping out our fellow men in need. In Malaysia, Iglesia ni Cristo members went to the Philippine Embassy to take part in the Worldwide Aid to Humanity event conducted last October 31st. And His Excellency Charles Jose, the ambassador of the Philippines to Malaysia, received the care packages courtesy of the Iglesia ni Cristo. Here's Alfred Balmes for that report. Alfred.
I am here today at Philippine Embassy here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to witness another act of kindness of Iglesia ni Cristo in this part of the world. Members of the Iglesia ni Cristo here in Malaysia has successfully conducted another outreach program as they took part in the Worldwide Aid to Humanity project of the Church. Held at the Philippine Embassy here in Kuala Lumpur, vehicles loaded with care packages started to arrive at the compound of the embassy early in the morning in preparation for the ceremonial turnover, which was graced by the Ambassador Charles Jose.
Kaya malaking bagay itong pagbibigay ng food packages at magpapasalamat din kami sa Iglesia ni Cristo dahil sa inyong parating pag-support din sa mga projects and programs ng Philippine Embassy para sa ating Filipino community dito sa Malaysia.
Church leaders and other embassy officials were among the key personnel present in the occasion. 297 members of the Filipino community and OFWs in need were the recipient of the care packages, which contain food essentials such as 5 kilos of rice, noodles, canned goods, and others. Following the government's SOP and embassy security protocols, the care packages upon receipt of the Philippine Embassy were given to the Filipino community leaders, who in turn will help distribute this item to their assigned groups.
Malaking tulong to sa ating kababayan at saka hinahangaan ko po dahil wala po silang pinipili. Kahit sino po binibigyan nila, kahit mga anong relihiyon. Kaya maraming salamat po talaga sa inyong lahat. Malaking tulong po sa ating mga kababayan.
The Iglesia ni Cristo regularly organize outreach activities like this in all parts of the world. And with their helping hand, they continue to uplift the lives of the people in their own small way.
I would like to greet Iglesia ni Cristo's Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo Manalo, a happy 66th birthday on behalf of the Philippine Embassy here in Malaysia. May the good Lord continue to bless him with good health, happiness, and success. And I also pray that may our Almighty God continue to mightily use him as his instrument in bringing positive changes in people's lives in a way that would bring glory and honor to the name of Jesus.
To all the Iglesia ni Cristo around the world, maraming salamat po. Live reporting from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, this is Alfred Balmes. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Alfred. And thank you, Crystal, for keeping me company as always.
No worries, Alma. It's always been my pleasure. And that's the latest news in the ASEAN region. Thank you for joining us today here in ASEAN in Focus. Once again, this is Crystal Ann Ballesteros from your Cambodia Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And that's it for today's broadcast. We'll see you back tomorrow. Same time, same place here in ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.